think we started on fresh, not to continue where we were, Salatul Jama'ah. What you say? So, Salatul Jama'ah 176. How was the break? There's a class here, tafsir class, right?
Last night there was
Monday between Maghrib and Isha and Friday.
And we use with tafsir.
Yeah.
Where with tafsir? Where are you with the tafsir?
No, I'm actually not in the group.
Oh, yeah.
He was here last night, Imam Sami.
He does Dawi
He spoke
on Monday night and tafsir on. I don't actually know exactly where they are. Sorry about that. Right? You know we.
That is a
No,
break.
Thursday.
Oh, Thursday's Qatar.
Let's just make a start, inshallah, for some action. So, salatu wassalam ala Rasul al-Karim. Salatul Jama'ah. Salatul Jama'ah. Salah is a very powerful action, as we know. It's very unique in the sense that if you compare to Hajj and fasting and zakah and the rest of the other types of ibadah, it's very unique in the sense that it is a daily action, and it's, you know, it happens 5 times a day, and even more so if you're doing the nafil salah. If you look at Hajj, it's once in your lifetime. Umrah, it's not that, you know, we're not fortunate enough to perform Umrah every year, or, you know. And then you look at fasting, it's once a year. But salah has to be done every day, which means that all these types of ibadah is a type of connection. It's a connection to Allah. That's the idea, to connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a very specific way. But the Salatul Jama'ah presents a unique opportunity to connect with Allah 5 times a day. So we should really look to those other types of extra salahs. Very neglected salah sometimes is the Salatul Duha, the morning, you know, that's, so 8 o'clock past 8, so about 20 past 8 it starts up until 4. It's a salah that we should try and, you know, we should fill that particular time, because it's the longest gap, I think, yeah, from Fajr to Dhuhr, that's the longest gap. Dhuhr to Asr is a short gap, Asr to Maghrib is a short gap, and then Maghrib, Isha is a short gap. Then from Isha to Fajr is also a long gap. So in there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed Salatul Layl to not make the connection so long apart. And then also from Fajr until Dhuhr is also a very long gap, and Allah has placed Salatul Duha. So you can see there's a constant connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Salatul Jama'ah is a very also unique and specific type of ibadah. So we're speaking about a congregation salah, okay? A congregation salah. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam أقام النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم الجماعة بعد الهجرة الشريفة. Jama'ah was established after the hijrah. It could not be done before the hijrah. It was very difficult because they had to gather in secret. But after the hijrah, this was Medina, no more hiding, and Salatul Jama'ah could be performed in the masjid.
Yeah. So was it actually established in Medina?
Yeah, Jama'ah Salah. So you find that even the first Jumu'ah was made after the hijrah, because it couldn't be made in Makkah. That doesn't mean that the Sahaba didn't, when they had the opportunity in the mountains and in the outskirts, they could perform Salah. But it wasn't established as an institution, like an institution as it was obviously after the Hijrah. So the Prophet ﷺ, he stayed in Makkah for 13 years, and he performed Salah without Jama'ah. Right? We're talking about the institution of Jama'ah. He did not perform in Jama'ah. لأن الصحابة كانوا, because they were obviously they were under how can I say, they were being persecuted. They were being persecuted. So they would perform in their homes. But when the Prophet ﷺ made the hijrah to Medina, now the Prophet ﷺ, he established the institution of a Jama'ah Salah, and وَوَاظَبَ عَلَيْهِ, and this was something constant until the death of Muhammad. And obviously, because he has institutionalized it like this, it will stay there until the day of Qiyamah. الصحيح أنه فيما عدا صلاة الجمعة فرض كفاية. So the Jama'ah Salah Just think how interesting this is. It's a fard kifaya. So if everybody is going to neglect the Jama'ah Salah, it's problematic. It's problematic. So there must be a Jama'ah Salah that is established. But besides Jumu'ah is not like that. It's not that someone has to perform it. It's compulsory. So it's interesting to see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has encouraged us to perform Salatul Jama'ah. And we can see how everybody can be here all the time. Even the Imam struggles to be here 5 times with the congregation. But we should try our very best. Some people can be there, more than others. But just look at the state of Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, and Maghrib, and Isha. You can look at the state of that, but then compare to Jumu'ah. So you can see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made Jumu'ah compulsory for the males, so that this great, one of the wisdoms is that this great blessing of performing Salah in congregation can be established. There's great benefits to be making Salah in Jama'ah. Great benefits. Whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes anything compulsory, it's only to our benefit. So, as-sahih annaha. So this is a disputed fact as to whether it is a fard kifaya or not. But the preponderant view is that it is a fard kifaya. When we speak about fard kifaya, means some must do it. It's like the Salatul Janazah. Some must do it, and if they do it, you're okay. They actually take the obligation off you. So some say it's actually not a fard kifaya. It's a sunnah, and it doesn't fall under the category of fard kifaya. So that argument is respected. ولا تسقط فرضيتها عن أهل البلدة إلا حيث يظهر شعارها فإن لم تؤدي فيما مطلقا أو أديت في خفاء أثم أهل البلدة كلهم وجب على الإمام قتالهم. So these people that do not perform Jama'ah Salah at all, you see what happens is Salatul Jama'ah is one of the signs of Muslims. It's the signs of the community of Muslims. People come here, they see the masjid, they come into the masjid, there's a token of Islam that is over here. So if that is not performed, then the community becomes sinful because they know there's a masjid that is being neglected. So where do we get the proof? We know the whole. Where do we get the proof from? And I don't know if you are aware that there's this debate that is currently underway. Well, not debate. It's just a misunderstanding that has been blown out of proportion as to the hadith being a source of law. The hadith is a source of law. You have the Quran, you have the hadith, you have consensus of the ulama, and then you also have analogy. These are the 4 agreed upon sources of law. But hadith is right up there with the Quran. But recently hadith has come under attack, and the reason people would attack the hadith, first of all, there are 2 different types of people that study the hadith. There's Muslims that study hadith to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to understand the sayings of the Prophet so they can follow him. And then there are those that study Islam to destroy Islam, the Orientalists that are studying Islam not for interest, the particular Orientalist that is studying Islam to destroy Islam. So when things come out in the media that is seemingly an opportunity to destroy Islam, so like to destroy hadith now specifically, then they take it. So this has happened now recently where a scholar said something that was misunderstood. It was misunderstood, and it's not what he meant. It's not what he meant, but obviously people had a field day with that, saying that hadith cannot be trusted. So we look for proof in the Quran, we look for proof in the hadith. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you want to check this verse up, check Surah An-Nisa, verse 102. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, wa idha kunta fihim, when you are amongst them. So this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directing his address to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wa idha kunta fihim, when you are amongst them, فَأَقَمْتَ لَهُمُ الصَّلَاةِ, then establish the salah, فَلْتَقُمْ طَائِفَةٌ مِّنْهُمْ مَعَكَ, and a group must stand with you. So this is a command to the Prophet. When you are amongst your community, it's time for salah, perform your salah, and there is a command for others to stand with you. So this is a command that the jama'ah must be established. وَهَذَا صَلَاةُ الْخَوْفِ This particular verse is in the context of Salatul Khawf. Have you seen Salatul Khawf being performed? No. It's very interesting. It's actually nice to get about like maybe 10 guys to come together to see how Salatul Khawf is being performed. It's when there's imminent danger. So sometimes it can face the Qibla and sometimes it's against the Qibla, away from the Qibla. But Salah is still being performed. Just the gist of it is that there's constantly, you have your weapons on you. Like if you're performing Salah on the battlefield or when there's imminent danger, there's Salah with the weapons on them, and there's always a group standing up and watching. So when the group in front go down for sujood, the other group is standing up, until they come up again, then the others go down, So there's a constant watch. And this is, there's a way to perform it facing the Qibla and also away from it. This is interesting.
Just on the issue of the Nabi the prophets being instructed to make salah amongst the community, would it be advisable for an individual, if he's amongst people, to also establish the salah?
Yes, this is greatly encouraged. But whether it is compulsory to perform salah into jama'ah.
No, I don't mean I just mean as an encouragement.
Yes, no, it's a definitely encouragement. This, there's there's a dying. It's not a tradition; it's a sunnah. But it was a sunnah in our where people would, when they gather together, like on a Saturday by their families or so, then someone would make adhan. I see that would be an established practice in some families, but that practice is actually dying out. Where they are not going to the masjid, they make salah, but then somebody would call out the adhan. So this is what Salatul Khawf. وَإِذَا وَرَدَ أَمْرٌ بِإِقَامَةِ الْجَمَاعَةِ فِي الْخَوْفِ كَانَتْ فِي الْأَمْنِ أَوْلَى. So this is quite interesting. You heard of the concept of a fortiori? A fortiori, it's in Arabic it's called awlawi. It's like when Allah tells commands us to with regards to our parents, لا تقل لهما أف, don't say uf to them. So now somebody can't say swear them out and whatever, and then you say tell him, look here, Allah says don't speak bad. Then you say where, then you quote him the verse and say, yeah, but that's just oof. Allah didn't say I can't swear them. So the idea is, if Allah says you can't say the slightest word of bad, evil to them, then even more so, you can't say anything else. It's like I tell you, don't put your toe out the door. That don't mean you can put your body out the door. It means even more so, you can't put your body out the door. So we use this in English, don't even put your toe out the door. Stay here. So if Salah is commanded in a state, like this Jama'ah is commanded in a state of fear, right? If we're speaking about the context of fear, then Jama'ah must be established. Then even more so when there's no fear, there's no danger, there's no war, everything is fine, everything is safe, calm, then even more so the encouragement is very, very severe. The Prophet says, we'll see those hadith as it pops up. وَكَذَلِكَ قَوْلُ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. So this the Prophet also says. So when we want proof for hadith, we can go to Bukhari, we can go to Muslim, we can go to other hadith books like Tirmidhi, Nasai, etc. But just for the layman to access hadith that it's going to be authentic, you can go to Bukhari, you can go to Muslim. Other hadith books is also authentic, but some of it is also not authentic. Bukhari has taken upon himself to collect hadith that is of the highest degree of authenticity. But by doing so, many hadith is not included because the level is too high. The level is too high. So you have, according to some ulama, or the majority Imam Muslim would be the second, ranked second in terms of its authenticity, and then your other hadith books as well. But these two individuals, just from a layman approach, these, when you open those hadith, Bukhari and Muslim is going to be authentic. But the problem is going straight to a hadith book is not encouraged, and it's not discouraged either. What do I mean by this? It's not encouraged because this is like you going to a doctor, and obviously they got the books there behind them. So you go there, they give you a diagnosis, and you say, "No, I don't agree with you. Give me your journals over there. I'll check it myself." Why must I listen to what you got to say? I can just take the book. I can read English. And I can read it myself. So I'll diagnose myself. the chances are you're going to kill yourself if it's a terminal thing. So if we do that we won't do that with our health, we shouldn't do that with our deen. So this is not a discouragement to go straight to hadith, but people are really playing with hadith. You know, they access the hadith. It's interesting for self-knowledge, to learn. The knowledge is there, nobody's discouraged. But we're not encouraged to the extent that we are going to now make laws or understand laws. This is why the madhahib is there. The madhahib is there to facilitate an understanding of how we can understand this hadith and how we implement it in our lives. This is why the madhahib are there. So, وَكَذَلِكَ قَوْلُ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. So the Prophet ﷺ, so we had the proof from the Quran, let's have proof from a hadith. The Prophet ﷺ says, Salatul Jama'ati. The salah of a congregation, tafdulu, is more virtuous. Salat al-fadh, in a person making salah alone, bi-sab'i wa 20 darajatin, more than 27 times. So Allah has attached a particular reward in a congregation more than alone. Now this congregation doesn't only mean in the masjid. This particular hadith is not mentioning in the masjid, it means a congregation. Which means if you're going to salah alone, if you're not going to the masjid, better salah in a group because you get a greater reward. Again, there's not a discouragement to not go to the masjid and to make salah. But I mean, what we're saying is, the congregation salah, group prayer, is far greater than making salah alone. وَكَذَلِكَ مَا رَوَاهُ أَبُو دَاوُدْ. Then there's another hadith. The Prophet ﷺ says, مَا مِنْ ثَلَاثَةٍ. There's no three individuals in any village or any town, or in the desert, لا تقام فيهم الجماعة, that jama'ah is not established إلا استحوذ عليهم الشيطان فعليك بالجماعة, except that shaitan will touch them, shaitan will get to them. So if there's three individuals in any city or any town and they're not performing, then shaitan has access to them. So the Prophet ﷺ says, فعليك بالجماعة, so perform the jama'ah. فإنما يأكل الذئب القاصية. So the wolf only attacks the person that is alone. You'll see how these predators attack. They run after a group of buffaloes or so. So they'll chase them until the weak ones start separating, and then they can attack. So this is what shaitan does as well. It's very difficult for him to attack a jama'ah. So it's difficult for you to do something that is wrong in a group. But when you're alone, that's when they attack you. You're sitting alone, traveling alone. When you are all alone and you without with your people that inspire you, then that is where shaitan attacks. So hikmah to mashru'iyatiha. Some hikmah. Now the hikmah is a wisdom. So it's nice to understand the wisdoms of why Allah has decreed certain things. But the wisdom doesn't, whether we understand the wisdom or not, it's not hinged on there. It doesn't matter. We're not making that a conditional. We're not making it conditional to understand the wisdom, to understand the law. So in other words, why does Allah tell me to dress in a certain way? Because if I don't understand it, I'm not going to do it. This is not the attitude of a Muslim. We comply whether we understand or whether we don't understand. Because there's many things we do and we can see the benefit, and some things we can't see the benefit. Like for example, why must we make salah for Fajr 2 rak'ats? It don't make sense. Because sometimes there's more time. Why don't we make salah 4 rak'ats? With that type of a thing. When Allah tells us to do certain things, we can't see sometimes the benefit logically, but there is a benefit, we know that. And sometimes the benefit is just simply to comply without understanding. That is within itself a benefit. So, hikmatu mashru'iyatiha, some of the wisdoms of the Salatul Jama'ah. إنما ينهض عمود الإسلام على تعاريف المسلمين وتأخيهم وتعاونهم لإلحاق الحق وإزهاق الباطل. So, this promotes brotherhood. It's a simple way to sum it all. It promotes brotherhood and assistance. ولا يتم هذا التعارف والتأخي. It's this brotherhood and getting to know each other. It doesn't occur in a better place than in the place of the masjid, when we meet each other to perform Salatul Jama'ah 5 times a day. So you come to know people in masajids, and you come to know the best of people in masajid. You go to a town, you don't know the town, you start going there for salah there, oh salam, what's your name? And then after there's like a little, at least You know, I know this Buddha, I know that Buddha. And then you say, where's this Buddha? He wasn't here for a long time, you know. He used to sit on that chair. Then after you realize that something's wrong, then maybe you can. So it's the best place to meet people that is in the masajid. Today the masajid, some masajid has become very dead. Just very dead. You know, sometimes you have this, you know, children want to enter the masjid because it's not a welcome place in certain masajids. But it should be where we actually meet each other. So that's one of the benefits. It creates brotherhood and knowing each other. ومهما فرقت مصالح الدنيا بينهم وعرفت الأحقاد في نفوسهم فإن في ثباتهم على التلاقي في صلوات الجمعة ما يمزق بينهم من الحجب الفرقة. So it's basically, just to sum up that, I'm not going to go into that, it's to promote unity, brotherhood and knowing each other. الأعذار المقبولة التي المختلف عن صلاة الجماعة. When التخلف rather عن صلاة الجماعة. There are certain excuses though that is accepted and recognized where you can actually leave Salatul Jama'ah. So the first is there's two types of excuses. There's general excuses and specific excuses. A general excuse is something that's going to affect a large group of people, and a specific excuse is someone that affects you individually. So so as for the general excuses, kamatar is severe rain. Now this is in when the weather is very bad. When the weather is very bad. So if you look at the time when there wasn't cars and you know everything is mud roads and you got the storm and there's mud flowing everywhere. So you're going to the masjid, you're gonna, you know, it's difficult to walk outside. You can get sick, you're gonna get wet, your clothes are gonna get dirty. The masjid itself might be flooded. This is one excuse to not attend the salah. Till Jama'ah, you can make it at home. وَرِيحٌ عَاصِفٌ بَلِيلٌ, a very powerful wind. So destructive weather. To go out, it's going to be dangerous outside. And now you say there's danger outside with regards to the weather. That can also, by analogy, we can extend that to danger outside. There's gunshots happening outside, or that type of a thing, and then that's also an excuse. وَوَحْلٌ شَدِيدٌ فِي الطَّرِيقِ, or there's just some obstacles in the road. That's going to prevent you. وروي عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما أذن للصلاة في ليلة ذات برد وريح. So it is narrated that Abdullah ibn Umar أذن للصلاة في ليلة ذات برد ثم قال ألا صلوا في الرحال. It was a very cold night, and Abdullah ibn Umar, he made adhan, but then he told them, perform your salah where you are. Don't come to the masjid. It was extremely cold, and the chances are you're going to harm yourself by getting out of the cold. This is not that cold where, this is a cold that is going to make you sick. Yeah, this is a cold that's going to cause you to become sick. ثم قال إن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يأمر المؤذن إذا كانت ليلة أو ليلة ذات برد. Then he said, the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, he commanded that when it's very cold and it's raining, and يقول, that you must say ألا صلوا في رحال. We must add that in the adhan. Behold, perform salah where you are. Perform salah where you are. So you actually add this, right? But we won't really, I don't think we'll ever come across something like that in our town, because we got cars, and then the masjids are so close. But I mean, there might be something where it's very, very severe. I mean, this is one of the hadith that you look at when the coronavirus is hit. I'm not going to go into that talk or debate or whatever. But there was a time where the masajids were locked, and people were rather encouraged to perform salah at home because of the fear of them catching the particular virus. So here you see the Prophet ﷺ is not saying just go out in the cold. We are Muslims. If you must get sick, you must get sick. If you must die on the road, you can die on the road. You know, if Allah wants you to do this, no, we're taking precautions. The precautions is as ice cold outside, and the Prophet ﷺ is saying perform salah at home. وأنت تعلم أن هذا الأعذار قلما تتحقق اليوم إلا في القرى بل في بعض القرى. So the same point I made, it's very, very rare that we're going to find this Very rare. I mean, I can't speak about this in my... this Al-Qadawni thing was quite interesting. I mean, I've never... and I wish I'm not that old, but I mean, I don't know if you've ever come across something with the likes of that. Never. Where we were prevented from entering the masjid. No?
Not me.
Okay. So now we're looking at specific excuses. Now this is kamarudin, like someone that is sick. And you get people that are very used to the masjid. They're so attached to the masjid. It's very hard for them not to come to the masjid. You're looking at the span of 20, 30 years and they've been in Fajr almost every day. Dhuhr every day. So for people like that, when they become sick, it's very hard for them not to come to the masjid. But understand the Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala recognizes that as a valid excuse not to come to the masjid. Because you can, your sickness can increase. Again, you find the Prophet not saying, don't come to the masjid even if you're sick. It doesn't matter. So it's not like that. We have to take use of the means that Allah has created. If you're extremely uncomfortable, you're very hungry, you're very thirsty, the adhan is going off and you're not feeling well, you need to eat, and then that is an excuse to leave Salatul Jama'ah. And we spoke about this. You fear that something bad is going to happen to you. You know that road is not a safe road, that tonight you shouldn't be going there. Then that's also it's an excuse for you not to, a valid excuse not to attend the Jama'ah. وَمُدَافَةَ حَدَثٍ مِنْ بَوْلٍ أَوْ غَائِطٍ. So sometimes you need to use the bathroom, and look here, the masjid is far and I need to go to the toilet, and if I go to the toilet I'm going to miss Salatul Jama'ah. Must I go and must I keep it in, or must I just let it? So then that is also a chance for you, or it's a recognized excuse not to perform Salatul Jama'ah. وُضِعَ عَشَاءُ. This is a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. إِذَا وُضِعَ عَشَاءُ أَحَدِكُمْ وَأُقِيمَتِ الصَّلَاةُ فَابْدَأُوا بِالْعَشَاءِ. Interesting, when somebody has laid a table, the table is laid and you're about to eat and the adhan is going off, or the salah is going to start and you're hungry, you're about to eat, then what should you do? Don't leave the food to perform salah. The Prophet ﷺ says eat, right? So you're going to eat so that the hunger is quelled, because now you're going to perform salah and your mind is by the food. It's not in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you see, this deen is not about how people like to make it very rigid. It's not about this. This deen is merciful and it's very tolerant. وَلَا يَعْجَلَنَّ حَتَّى يَفْرُغَ مِنْهُ. Then the Prophet added, don't hasten, don't eat so fast now. There's a line and you're eating, you're hungry. Don't eat fast so that you can catch the Jama'ah. So, you eat until you feel satisfied. Till you can now, okay, you're not hungry anymore. Now I can perform salah. Okay, so people are also different with regards to this, with this regard. So you find also this is a problem in some masajids when it is Ramadan. So now the food is just there, and now some bright spark want to immediately start the salah because it's Maghrib. Don't worry about food. We must make salah. We're going to feed our soul first. You can make salah, alright. We're going to eat first. So you eat lekker. When you're done eating lekker, then you go perform your salah. So that accommodation must be made, because again, people's appetite is different. Some people must eat lekker before they can not be hungry, and some people can see the date in water. So the accommodation must be made. La salata bihadrati ta'am. The Prophet ﷺ also said there's no salah when there's food that is present. What is meaning again is food is smelling lekker, you want to eat now, you're hungry, your mouth is salivating, and the salah is going, then don't perform salah, rather go eat. Wala huwa yudafi'uhu al-akhbathan. Also, and you find this a lot when, especially in Isha now, people don't want to take wudu because they need to go to the bathroom. So now they they keep in because they don't want to make wudu again, so they rather make Isha. So the Prophet ﷺ says you shouldn't be keeping in, the need to go to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom, take wudu and make salah again. وَكَمُلَازَمَةٍ غَرِيمٍ لَهُ إِذَا خَرَجَ إِلَى الْجَمَاعَةِ وَهُوَ مُعْسِرٌ. This is interesting. If you owe somebody money and you know he's gonna be by the masjid, and he's gonna trick you fast, so to say, right? So to dodge him, right? To dodge him because you can't pay. To dodge him was a very awkward feeling. So you see that again, you're gonna be performing salah, you're gonna think what you're gonna say, you're gonna feel very awkward. So this is a reason for you not to go to the masjid if you owe somebody money that is there. وَأَكْلُ ذِي رِيحٍ كَرِيهٍ. So this is if you eat something that is very, it smells bad, like onions, or anything like onions, right, that gives off a bad smell. So you shouldn't go, or that's again an excuse not to go to the masjid. And this is any habit as well that will make you smell bad. It's a reason for you not to perform Salatul Jama'ah, because you're going to harm the other people, because they're going to smell you, you're going to stink, and you're going to disturb their salah. So this is it's an excuse not to come to the masjid. أو يكون مرتديا ثيابا قذرة تؤذي بقذارتها أو ريحها. Or you have clothes that smell bad, or it's dirty and it's going to spoil the masjid when you come in the masjid, then also you don't need, that's an excuse not to perform jama'ah. فكل واحدة من هذه الحالات تعتبر عذرا شرعا يسوغ لصاحبه التخلف عن حضور الجماعة. All of these excuses, and you can add so much more in today's world and as the time go on. Alright, any questions? No question. It's quite simple, right? But it's nice to read these things again. Just to refresh the.
It's very nice.
To refresh the memory. I enjoy this. Rawal Bukhari and Muslim. So again, Bukhari and Muslim. So we should actually start highlighting this. Bukhari is said to be the next authentic book after the Quran, and then Muslim. So just to, there's the science of Mustalah al-Hadith is very, very intricate. Mustalah is the grading of Hadith. So you get the Hadith that is authentic, and I'm mentioning this because Hadith is under attack nowadays. It would be a nice idea to have a workshop on the grading of Hadith, just for everybody to attend. So you get the Hadith that is authentic within itself, like the Hadith the Hadith has a chain. It's called the Sanad. It's a chain. There's a lot of men there going back to the Prophet ﷺ, and then it has a text. So each hadith will be graded. So some hadith is graded authentic within itself, meaning all those people have integrity. They're all precise in how they conveyed, and we check them. There's a rigorous testing mechanism in Islam where we can. Every narrator we can test them, so they have all integrity. So we say the chain is linked, there's no broken links, and then we accept the hadith. Sometimes there's a small break in the chain, so now we say no, this hadith is not sahih, it's not like authentic within itself. It's a good hadith because there's a break in the link, a small break. It's a good hadith. But then sometimes the hadith can jump up again to authenticity, the highest level of authenticity, if you have a lot of breaks. Like you have a lot of weak hadith, slightly weak, then it can actually bolster the other hadith up, and we can say even though this hadith is weak, we can use it because there's other hadith collaborating that. So you get hadith that is accepted, you get hadith that is rejected. With the rejection of hadith, you get various grades. With the acceptance of hadith, you get various grades. So Bukhari and Muslim, obviously there would be no question as to its authenticity. So this hadith is narrated from Jabir radiallahu anhu, and he narrates from the Prophet ﷺ saying, Man akala thuman, whoever eats thyme, wa kisa ghayruhu min al-a'dhar alayhi, and any type of food is, an analogy is made here, any type of food and any habit that people do that will make their mouth smell bad, then fal ya'tazilanna, they must extract themselves. أو قال فليعتزل مسجدنا, they mustn't come to a masjid. The Prophet ﷺ saying, don't come to the masjid. If you don't smell like it, go away. If you ate something bad, don't come to the masjid. The Prophet ﷺ was giving a command with regards to that. وَلْيَقْعُ فِي بَيْتِهِ, must sit in his house. If you stink, the mouth stinks, sit in the house. Right? وَلَا بُدَّ فِي مَنْ يَكُونُ إِمَامًا, it's important for an imam that تتوفر these conditions, the specific conditions, أكثرها نسيبة حسب حال المأموم ونخلصها في الأمور التالية. Sorry, I just missed something. Yeah, I missed a section. شروط من يقتدي به. So what are the conditions now? So there's an imam in front of you. What is the conditions for you to be considered as someone that is part of that jama'ah. In other words, if somebody's lying there right at the back by the chair, and there's 3 people standing in front of you, and you can hear them reciting, are you considered as part of the jama'ah? You don't want to join them. You just don't want to take the walk. You want to sit there. Can you be considered? So, what is the conditions for you to be considered as someone? The Arabic word is muqtadi, someone that is following. So, la budda fi man yakuna imaman. It is necessary for someone that is an imam that he has these particular conditions. Number 1. أن لا يعلم المقتدي بطلان الصلاة إمامه أو يعتقد ذلك. Number 1. The first is you mustn't believe that your Imam Salah is not valid. So in other words, you know the Imam don't have wudu. You know it. Right? And then, so you mustn't, the condition is you mustn't think that your Imam, like you have certainty that his Salah is not accepted. Or you know he cannot recite the Fatiha, for example, or you know he can't recite, for example. So he's salah soft, but you know he can't make salah. You know, so something like that. So the one following, he must have knowledge that the Imam's salah in front of him is valid. It mustn't be invalid. Here's an example. يجتهد اثنان في جهة القبلة فاعتقد كل منهما أن القبلة بجهة غير التي يعتقد الآخر فلا يجوز أن يقتدي. So these 2 people, they're in a jungle, wherever they are, right? They're somewhere. They don't know which way is Qibla. So now they investigate. So the one say, I'm 100% certain the Qibla is in this direction. 100%. I have no doubt. Right? So now he starts making salah. But the other guy that's with him, he's 100% sure that the Qibla is in the other direction. So he knows for a fact that this person's salah is not valid. And that person knows for a fact that this salah is not valid. This is in his mind, right? So they can't follow each other. So that's an example. They can't follow each other. If you follow someone that you know is standing in the wrong direction, your salah is also invalid. So that's an interesting example. Today people don't know how to determine the Qibla because of the phones. So if the app don't work, there's no data, then they can't find out where's the Qibla. We know we forgot how to check the sun and all that shadows and all that type of a thing. We've become too dependent on the phones. Number 2, أن لا يكون أميا والمقتدي قارئ. You can't have 2 people, the one can recite and the other one can't recite. He's an ummi. He can't recite, so you can't stand behind someone that can't recite if you can recite. Because you are able to recite, you should be the imam. And the person that can't recite must be behind you. So this is also a condition. والمقصود بالأمي هنا من لا يتقن قراءة الفاتحة بحيث يخل. Look, when we're saying somebody can't recite, he can't recite the Fatiha properly. There's 2 types of mistakes. You get like a major mistake and a minor mistake. They call it khafi, lahnul jali, and lahnul khafi. The lahnul jali, a major mistake, is like someone that changes the letters of the Fatiha. We're not saying you must recite with perfection, because tajweed is a intricate science. You keep your mouth like this and you must, it's a very intricate science. Sometimes the ra must be round, sometimes it must be flat. There's ikhfa and all these rules are there. So we're not saying that he must have perfect qira'ah, but we're saying he mustn't make a major mistake. In other words, he changes a letter. Like instead of saying walab dalin, he says walab dalin. So he changes. Is it? That's hectic. It's a hectic mistake. I actually make a joke about that. I never heard someone saying that actually. So instead of saying walab, they say walab. So they change the ba into a ba and a dal. Walab dalim. So that's a major mistake. It's not forgiven. If he can help it, it's not something that is looked over. So if someone can say walab dalin and the other one saying walab dalin must stand in front, walab dalin must stand in front. Alright. And the third thing we're going to mention with regards to being a muqtadi, someone that is following, أن لا يكون امرأة والمقتدي رجل. You can't follow a female. A female cannot stand in front. So we had a incident in Cape Town, Claremont, where a lady stood in front. Right? I can't make jokes here. Yeah, she stood in front. So it can't be. A man can't stand behind a female simply because it hasn't been done. It hasn't been done in the time of the Prophet. If it was permissible, at least it would have happened at least once. فإن كان المقتدي أيضا امرأة جاز اقتداء كل منهما بالآخر. The Prophet ﷺ said this, لا تؤمن امرأة رجلا. Explicit hadith, a female cannot lead a man, ever. A female cannot lead a man, whether she can recite or whether that doesn't matter. If he can't recite, he must come make salah, he can't salah behind him, a female. There's one thing I wanted to mention here. But a female can lead another female. That's not a problem. There's a lady standing in front, she wants to be an imam, ladies can stand behind her. And then she can lead the salah. And this is also being something that is revived now. You have this like this night salah for females. The schools are doing it, female schools, and then that's a nice thing. I think we can stop there, inshallah. It's going to be shy very soon. Any questions?
Just on the 3 points of not following the imam. When you in the masjid at the time when you discover that he's going to be the imam, you also came for salah, and there's 3 other people following. What do you do?
Yeah, it's a tight, it's a sensitive question emotionally, but in terms of fiqh, if a guy can't recite, he can't recite. So then what I would do is I do not make a scene. This has happened before. There was someone standing in front that was really killing the tajweed rules. It's like he was a spurs. You can't even recite like that if you try to recite a spurs. You know, like it's like he's really going for it. So that is walabdalin and other things as well. And there were other people that can't stand in front. So that's major mistakes. So in the if you follow the Shafi madhab and you're very strict to the Shafi, then the Fatiha is going to be very vital, right? So if you're just looking at that angle, then you can perform salah. You say Allah Akbar, but the intention is not to make salah with Jama'ah. You're making salah on your own.
But you're binded to the Jama'ah.
You're not binding. You're not even getting the reward of the Jama'ah.
No, but I mean you're standing.
You're standing there,
yeah.
Not to make a thing. Because now you go standing, everybody asking you, what's there? Yeah, it does depend on your niyyah. So you perform. I stood once in salah. So basically, also if you need to move somewhere, emergency come up in Jama'ah, you can change your niyyah and say, no, I'm making salah alone now. You can, yeah. Then you make salah and you move. So, but obviously that salah is now alone, not in Jama'ah. Yeah, I don't know if you get actually the reward of the Jama'ah for the part of your salah that you were in Jama'ah and then you left. I don't know that. It might be. I didn't actually think of that. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
The Qibla, like in somebody you saying is one person saying this side, the other person saying this side. So the 2 person he says 100% confirm Qibla this side, other person says this side. Then what is the decision on the salah?
So, but there's only 2 people. So the decision is the one who believes 100% that the Qibla is that way, he must make salah that way, because that's his belief. And the other one that believes is that way, but they can't follow each other. They can't be a Jama'ah, because they must separate, yeah.
On their own.
Yeah, on their own, yeah.
But salah is still going to be valid.
Salah
Gonna be
both of them be correct. You see, this is a place of ijtihad. Ijtihad is when there's no way of determining the Qibla except by investigation. So people use somebody in solitary confinement. There's walls around him. How is he going to know which way is Qibla? So he has to do his best to determine which way is Qibla, and it's still compulsory for him to make salah to what he believes is. So if you're in solitary confinement, or everything's somehow locked up, so you need to investigate to your best which way is Qibla, and then you still have to make salah in the way you believe is best. So that's what's called ijtihad. Yeah.
Just to point mention, Martin, when you sit in tasawwuf, do you watch your finger, your tahiyat finger?
Yeah.
You just look at it, or do you concentrate on your tahiyat finger?
So the sunnah is, when you're saying, in your tahiyat, you're saying ashhadu an la ilaha. So you're looking at the place of sajda.
Yeah.
Always, right? It's the place of sajda. So you're looking at, you say ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. When you say illallah, then you look at your finger.
Okay.
Yeah. you say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, then
But did you stay focused on your finger?
yeah, you stay
Oh, you don't go
focused on
back
it.
to the...
You don't go back to the sajda.
Oh, you stay
Yeah, you
focused.
stay focused. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Yeah. Actually, now that you're asking that, the Prophet ﷺ looked at his finger when the tashahud went out. Whether he averted his gaze after that again, I don't know. I need to check it. That's a good question.
Yes, the other one is, I came to learn this very late, that you actually come from Qiyam straight on sujood on your knees first.
So that's the recommended according to all madhab except the Maliki madhab. So the Maliki, so the Prophet ﷺ said you mustn't make salah like a dog or was like a camel. Don't stand up like a camel. But so according to the all madhab, that means that you're going to your knees go first, right? Your knees go first and then your hands. Okay. According to, I think it's the Maliki madhab that looks at that hadith and they say, no, a camel, they stand up a funny way, differently, not like other creatures. So then they put their hands down first. You need to know that because sometimes the knees get sore. Yeah, so if it does get sore, and also that is recommended, it doesn't invalidate your salah. So then you break your fall. Otherwise you're going to hurt your knees. So you break your fall. I dislocated my knee. So I always take care of that. Hands down first for me. Yeah, I can't practice on that always, unless it's a very soft carpet. Yeah. Cool. Alright, Jazakallah khair.
Yes, shukran.
Shukran.